Welcome back to another edition of Trait Triumph, by What's the Play Productions. I'm Christian, here with Brian, sports fan, of course, the legend himself. And we are here with our NFL Combine review. The Combine was this past weekend, and now we have a list of players that we would like to highlight, discuss, talk about, based off their performances at the Combine, based off what they did, how that may affect the draft stock, and how we view them as prospects after seeing them at the Combine. So we're going to go in order of the days, or we're going to try our best to do that. You know us, we might jump around a little bit. But to start off, we're going to go in order of the first day. And the first day featured the defensive linemen. And we can start off with probably the biggest moneymaker from that first day, Braden Fisk. Braden Fisk out there with the, let me pull up the exact number of his relative athletic score. 9.88. He weighed in at 292 pounds. He was 6'3", 5/8", and he ran a 4.78 40-yard dash with 1.68 10-yard splits. For a defensive tackle, 4.78. I mean, it's not often that he's going to have to run 40 yards in the NFL, but the 1.68 10-yard split is really what teams are looking at. The 9.9 broad jump just shows that his athleticism. He has a 33.5-inch vertical. 26 reps on the bench press, so he's not he's not weak. He's able to hold his own in the strength department as well. So Braden Fisk is probably a name that a lot of people didn't know coming into the Combine. But I think we can all say that he probably made himself a decent amount of money, probably jumped his draft stock a couple rounds, honestly.
Yeah.
But what stood out to you guys about Braden Fisk? And were you all familiar with him prior to the Combine?
Ironically, even though I'm wearing this hat, I wasn't too familiar with his game prior to the scouting combine. So I'll definitely have to go back and look at tape to see where I have him when we update our big board rankings. He'll probably be a top 5 defensive lineman for me for sure. Like you said before, the 40-yard dash was definitely very impressive. The 10-yard split as well, because that's the biggest thing that everybody's looking at. I think he definitely made himself a good amount of money. I think he's a guy that'll probably go early set. He might have been projected, say, like late second, early third, but now he'll probably be like early to mid second, maybe sneak into the first if somebody really sees something there. So that's what I saw with Braden.
Yeah, I didn't know he had that type of like explosion type speed combination. He probably won't be a I'm gonna say he probably won't be a D tackle because he's kind of light for a D tackle based on his measurements. But if he's like a 3-4 DN or something like that, where a lot of teams kind of use that role a lot nowadays when they're not that main nose run stuffing type D tackle. I think he has a lot of teams that can use him like that, especially if he can get off the ball and kind of use his hands and his speed to get around guards and stuff like that, and sometimes tackles. I was looking at some of his film after the combine. Some people tweeting it out, and I can see he's fast as shit when he gets off the ball. He can really use his hands and kind of get in the backfield and disrupt play. So he's very interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks in the bottom of the first, because teams like to try to sneak in and get that last like 5th year of a player's like good rookie contract. So you give him the first round, you get that 5th year option as a thing if you get a good pick. So kind of like what I saw from him. A lot of teams that need D-line help, the Cardinals included, might look at him. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm like Brian. I wasn't as familiar with him. I'm interested to see if the film matches up exactly with the type of athletic production. I missed out on reading out his 20-yard shuttle. He ran a 4.37 20-yard shuttle. So he's probably one of the. I'm sure the RAS score shows that he's one of the better defensive linemen prospects to come out in a while. In terms of athleticism, he's probably one of the most athletic defensive line prospects to come out. And he's not light. A lot of the other players who score in similar ranges, like Kalijah Cansey, even Aaron Donald, 280 pounds for a defensive lineman, they were often, forced to be that 3-4 defensive end role. I think Braden Fisk, the current athleticism that he has at his weight, he may be able to afford to put up add some more pounds while sacrificing a bit of the athleticism. He seems like he's a natural athlete. So if he was to bulk up and add maybe 10 pounds, of course he wouldn't be as athletic as he is at 292, but the type of athlete he's showing to be, if a team needs him to be a 4-3 defensive tackle, I'm sure he could be able to add the weight if necessary. I think off rip, he's at least a. I think I agree with Sports Fan where his best role would be a 3-4 defensive end, and he'll be able to be a situational pass rusher immediately. Third down, just putting him out there as an athlete, getting him those reps. But another player I would like to discuss. I don't think we have to discuss every single player on here. If you guys want to see our spreadsheet, because this is very in depth, I'm very impressed with what Brian put together here. Sports Fan, I believe, was adding the names to the list. But
Mm-hmm.
the next player, also a defensive lineman, Darius Robinson. And Darius Robinson was a player who, coming into the combine week, is a player who was rising up draft boards a little bit. And he's a 295-pound edge rusher this past year. The previous seasons he was playing defensive tackle and weighed in at about 305 there. So he dropped a little bit of weight this past season in order to have a little bit more explosiveness off the edge. So he tested with the other edge rushers, which is interesting to me because in my mind, that is how he views himself as. He views himself as an edge rusher, and I think he knows that edge rushers generally get paid more than defensive tackles or 3-4 defensive ends because that's honestly what he is. He's a 3-4 defensive end, but in his interviews, he was saying he could play 9 tech in a wide 9, or he could go all the way down to playing 0 tech. Simply not true. He's a 3-4 defensive end. The numbers support it. You know, he weighed in at 285, so I think that's decent weight for a 3-4 defensive end. He had an 8.87 relative athletic score, but if he's testing as a defensive end, the 40 time was not as impressive as you would have liked to see. He ran a 4.95, 173 10-yard split. So the numbers suggest that if he was tested as a 3-4 defensive end, an interior pass rusher who maybe gets times situationally to be out on the edge, that's probably where his role translates to. Um, so I just wanted to see if you guys had anything on Darius Robinson. He was a bit of a late riser up the boards prior to the combine, I could say, and then the interviews. I think that's when I really
He
started
had
to
a
voice a lot.
he had a really good Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, one of the bowl games,
Yeah.
and that's kind of when his name really started getting popular. And I was hearing that he was gonna take off and cook at this combine, and he didn't really do that. Still a really good player, just not explosive and fast as he kind of looked at on film. So I know a lot of teams are gonna go back and see, is he the same guy they were seeing, or was it the competition that made it easier? He played in the SEC, so it's not
Yeah.
like he played against easy competition. It's just, it's really hard to really see if he fits how he thinks he should fit, or I want to see what his reaction gonna be if a team tell him, yeah, you should not be on the edge. You should be like an interior defensive lineman, like Broncos just got somebody like Zach Allen or
Mm.
something like that. Just the interior type of DN that can edge rush occasionally, like Mingle said, but he was almost looking like a first round prospect, but I don't think now he's still that. At best, I'd probably say he's a round two, in the middle of round two type prospect. But you never know. Teams like to reach on potential pass rush options. So be surprised if he gets up there a little higher. If you have anything, Brian.
I just say pre combine. I know when we did our big board, he made it as number 31, I believe. I didn't have him on my list because I didn't get to see as much tape as of him. I'm very interested to see what his pro day looks like to see if he can get better numbers in the 40, but also if he does shuttle time, it'd probably be interesting to see too. He was also complaining about the bench press, so
Ah, yes, I
that's
did
a
forget about.
yeah. So that's another
Forgot
thing.
about that.
Yeah.
Mm,
So I was gonna say that's another thing
not a
where.
good sign.
Go ahead, JJ.
I said that's not a good sign when they start
Oh,
complaining about
yeah.
the
So he was.
combine drills that everybody does. Yeah, let me move him down my big board as you talk. Go ahead, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, so he complained about the
Just do it.
bench press. So it'll be interesting to see if I'm sure he'll probably do better at the pro day, but I think the two things I would be looking forward to is his 40 his bench press, and then if he does a 20-yard shuttle, probably looking at that as well. I agree with both of you guys. He's more of a hand in the ground type of guy instead of an edge rusher to me. Again, I will look at some more tape just to like confirm that and be safe. But I think if he sees himself as an edge, I wonder how they'll tailor his pro day because I'm not sure if they're going to try to tailor it to stuff that edges would do, or if it's just kind of like, all right, these are the drills we're going to give you, and then hopefully your numbers will be better. Your testing numbers will be better, so people may give you the shot to be an edge.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Just a bit of self-awareness for him, I guess. But hey, maybe he knows something that we don't. And believe in yourself, Darius Robinson.
Got
Keep
to.
on believing in yourself. Keep the conversation moving. I think we can move past the defensive line position unless there's somebody that you guys are dying to talk about here quickly.
So the only person I wanted to kind of touch on was Tavondre Sweat because
Yes,
I didn't think his
360.
number was going to be that crazy 40 wise. Also, he measured in at 366. And I think Christian joked in the group chat that he must have been like 400 or something, which is why he didn't measure somewhere prior.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So again, that's another guy probably pro day. I'll probably look at and see what's going on, but I don't know how teams
Yeah.
feel about the
Wait,
weight limit
who?
situation. So
No. 366 for him is good. Like
You
he
said you
weighed,
said Bode?
and
Yeah,
they
that's the
were
best.
that was his playing weight.
okay,
Because
okay,
he opted out of weighing in at the Senior Bowl. That's why I said he probably was 400 at the Senior Bowl. That's probably why he didn't weigh in. Um, but yeah, his RAS score isn't gonna be great because he is 366.
yeah,
But he's a nose tackle. You're not looking for RAS scores when it comes to nose tackles. You're looking for somebody who can actually stuff the run. And for him, 5'2'7", it's a pretty good time at 366 pounds. Even the 26-inch vertical. If you watch the video, I mean, it's a 26-inch vertical, but he got up off the ground, you know? So for him to be 366
Say
pounds, I think the one concern for him is if his weight is fluctuating the way it
yeah,
is, like between the Senior Bowl and the Combine, I mean, clearly he was able to get it to where he wanted it to be, but just to make sure that he's able to keep it there instead of it ballooning randomly at certain times of the year, you know? So just stuff like that for him. But I think he had a pretty good combine. I don't think the RAS score tells the whole story for him.
yeah,
But
yeah, I think it really comes down to how much your teams value run stuffing D tackle. I feel like he meets that criteria, that role almost perfectly. But if you're expecting like a lot of explosion off the ball and pass rushing, that's just not gonna happen. He may be able to bull rush some O linemen right into the quarterback's lap. Otherwise, I don't see much pass rushing wise from him. So I'm interested to see just how much your team's value of run stuffing D tackle. So we're gonna see.
yeah, and real quick at the linebacker position, we can briefly talk about Peyton Wilson.
yeah.
He came in as linebacker one for most people. He I think he's probably solidified himself off that with the combine, measuring at 6'4", 230. He ran a 4.43 40. There are rumors that he could have potentially even touched 4.3, but he ran a pretty good 40. Showed out in the athletic testing, did what he had to do. The combine isn't really made to display like the coverage skills of the linebackers. You're really not going to see that. So you really got to cut on the film for Peyton Wilson, the players like Peyton Wilson, Jeremiah Trotter, Tommy Eichenberg. But for him, for the combine, for him was for him to display his athleticism, show himself as probably the best athletic linebacker in this class. Um, and then Jeremiah Trotter, Tommy Eichenberg, the other top off the ball linebackers in this class. I don't know if you guys had anything you wanted to mention then before we get to the two edge rushers.
I would have liked to see both of them actually, do a little bit more, just to potentially improve their stock. But obviously, Peyton solidified himself as linebacker one with his combine, so that was not even a question. But I think in terms of trying to improve stock, I think I would have liked to at least see Jeremiah go out there and do something. I think both of them might be just saving it for their pro days, but just me personally, I just think I wish they would have tested a little bit more. But maybe they felt like it was a situation where they wanted to protect their stock and might be able to do better in a different environment.
Yeah, I mean it's the new trend to pick and choose, I guess, which events will be done. I mean, they have teams with them now. It's like everybody has their own team and their teams are advising them. And it's like if you're working up to this point, I mean, I've heard that it takes a lot to work in preparation for the 40-yard dash. And you just have more time up until the pro day. So a lot of people would just decide to, instead of putting a bad time on display at the combine, they'll just wait till their pro day where they can have more time to prepare for the 40 and put the best time possible out there for scouts. But edge rushers, we have a couple edge rushers that we want to highlight: Chop Robinson and Jarrett Verse. They're in similar ranges. Some people have them, each of them edge three. I think we all have Chop Robinson edge three.
Yeah,
So yeah, so we all have Chop edge three, but I think Jarrett Verse kind of displayed some of the athleticism that we were talking about, but that doesn't necessarily translate or show up on the field. I think we all knew that Jarrett Verse, he's a great power rusher, but
Yep.
the speed element of his game that he showed at the combine, he ran a 4.58, so he has the speed, but the speed rush doesn't necessarily show up on game film for him. And with Chop, he showed the type of speed that he has. So this kind of worked well for both of them, I would say. But I think Jarrett Verse, he showed that if he's probably with a good coach who can get him two good pass rush moves that he can rely on outside of the power moves that he already has, if he can develop two good speed rush moves to get past the offensive tackles, the best offensive tackles in the league, he could probably have success. So I think this was a good combine for him to show off his athleticism. Chop Robinson, the athlete that we know he was, at least he solidified himself as that for most people. I don't know if you guys had anything on those two that you wanted to mention specifically.
no, I agree. I agree with those takes. I think Jared Verse definitely solidified himself as edge four. The doing 31 reps on the bench press definitely obviously showcased his strength, so that was impressive to see. And again, like you said, him running the 4.5. Chop, not. I don't think there's anything too crazy to say with him. I think he did. I think he did admirable. I don't think it was anything like that jumped out. But I think he did enough to solidify himself as edge three. But I think Jared Verse did more than Chop, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forgot about Chop as soon as Dallas Turner ran his 40. I think a lot of people, like, there was a brief conversation about Chop and how he did his 40, and then Dallas Turner ran with that next group, and then everything about Chop was forgotten about for the most part.
Yep.
But I think they both probably solidified themselves in their current positions, whether it's edge three or edge four for both of them. I think there's a gap between the top four and now you may have at five. So I think they gave themselves enough separation between four and five. Anybody have we ready to move on to DBs?
Yeah.
No, this is a sports fan's favorite. I'll let him take the wheel here. Who do you want to
Hey,
highlight?
hey, hey, yo. Feel like I gotta start off with Quinyon Mitchell. The speed that he showed that I didn't think many people really thought he had. I know some people kind of already had an idea of Nate Wiggins because he's saying he was gonna run that fast. He said he's gonna try to get the 4.2, 4.3. So it's not as a surprise. But Keon Mitchell ran a 4.33, not too far from what Nate Wiggins ran, at about what 20 pounds heavier, about the same height. It's just yeah, he jumped up a lot of boards doing that, and then there was some other FSU corners that did well. Jaron Jones and Ronaldo Green, they did well. A lot of DBs got hurt. Cooley McKinstry ended up with a foot injury. I want to say
I
I'm
think he
trying
Yeah,
had
to
a
remember.
fracture. I think.
Yeah,
yes,
Jones fracture. He should be
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Those they just don't heal real easily because not a lot of blood naturally gets to that area, so he had to get surgery to get it fixed. But he should be fine. But then Cooper DeJean couldn't do anything because he's still recovering from injury. So other than Nate Wiggins and Keon Mitchell, everybody kind of performed how they kind of expected. Nate Wiggins ran so fast, he basically hurt himself. So I'm interested to see how that affects his stock if it ever does anything at all.
Yeah, I
Thing about
think
Nate, thing about Nate
um,
Wiggins, he is 173 pounds. So I don't know many outside corners that light. If there's any good outside corners that light, so I'm interested to see what that looks like. But we'll see.
I don't
He was
think
about
his is a real 173 though.
Yeah.
I think he's more. I think he's. I think he can get to 180, 185. I really do think he got down to as small as possible so he could run the fastest time. And it kind of backfired because, like you said, Kenyon Mitchell ran zero point 0.4 seconds slower than him. I mean, 0.04 seconds slower than him. Wait, am I doing that math
No,
right?
you did it
Yeah,
right.
I am.
0.04, 0.04.
0.04 seconds slower than him. So, for him to show up 20 pounds lighter than Kenyon Mitchell, and then Kenyon Mitchell not only does 20 reps on the bench press, but then basically runs the same 40 time as you. It's like, was it really worth it?
Yeah.
Because now people have not only now people already knew you were fast because that shows up on film, but now they're questioning your weight. So it's like, and weight isn't something that really shows up on film because you got the pads on, got the stuff, so nobody can really know how much you weigh. But if you show up at the combine 173, this is your first official job interview. Now people probably have more questions. So Kenyon, like you said, Kenyon moved up my board. He's my current CB1 based off the performance. The strength speed combo that he displayed at the combine was impressive. And Nate Wiggins, I want to say he fell down my board, but he's not cornerback one anymore just because I think Kenyon had a better performance, and I don't think he had to drop his weight in order to do it.
Yeah. So I would say, like you guys both said, I kind of agree with Chris. I think that it was a situation where he was trying to get to 173 so he could run that speed. But obviously, I think a bigger thing that probably would have helped him if he didn't get hurt would probably have been doing the fluidity drills and all the other stuff where you could see his ability to open up, so to speak. Most people, from what I've seen, think he could be like a cover three type corner in the league. They're not. I don't think they're so sure about his man coverage skills, so that's why I think the drills probably would have helped him a little bit there. Him, Cooper, and maybe Terrion Arnold are probably gonna be the three guys I look closest at during the pro day situation. I was a little surprised that Terrion ran a 4.5. He ran a 4.5. I thought it was a
Yeah,
little bit slower than that, but no, he ran a 4.5, so I think he was okay. But right now, I'm kind of leaving my corners positions kind of where it is. Nate will probably move down the board, like my overall board, a little bit. But for right now, I think I'm just going to leave my corners where it is until I get to look at pro days. Just because, even though Quinyon was impressive, obviously we didn't get to see Cooper. We didn't, and we didn't get to see Nate too long. And
late.
obviously, Terrion did a little bit, but it wasn't. It didn't stand out compared to what other guys were doing. Only other person I wanted to touch on briefly. Well, I kind of just added him to the list. Tyler Owens, the safety from Texas Tech. I just wanted to shout him out because of the broad jump and the vertical that he was able to do. Unfortunately, he got hurt while he was running the 40, or I think his RAS score probably would have been up there with the other DBs, especially Quinyon, who got a 9.7. If he was able to complete the whole day. So just wanted to shout him out real quick. Yeah, I think that's it for me from the DB position.
yeah. Well, unless SportsFan has anything else, we can move on to tight ends really quickly. Um, for tight ends, my guys let me down. My Jaheim Bell, Jatavian Sanders. I mean, I want to say they let me down. I mean, they had a decent performance, but the numbers didn't support what my eyes saw.
Yeah,
Um, the 4.69 from Jatavian Sanders really disappointed me. It's not a terrible time. It's just not the time that I expected. I kind of expected low 4.6s, potentially low 4.5s. I didn't really see him as a 4.7 guy. Jaheim Bell in the 4.6 range, I thought he could get to 4.5, but then at the same time he weighed in at 240. I didn't know he was going to weigh in at 240, so I think 4.61 at 240 for him is a good time. Because that shows that maybe he can actually be your true tight end at some point. Because I didn't have him projected as that, but 240 for him is a good weight while still running 4.61. Theo Johnson with a 9.99 relative athletic score. He weighed in at 259 pounds at 6'6", 6'6", 260, right? 39 and a half foot, 39 and a half vertical jump, 10 foot 5 inch broad jump, 4.57 40-yard dash. 1.55 10-yard split. This is a super athlete at the tight end position, and the RAS shows that. I didn't know much about Theo Johnson beforehand, but I think this is the purpose of the combine. Get yourself on people's radars that who you may not have been on their radars beforehand because nobody was really checking for Theo Johnson. But somebody on Twitter said, we got to check up on Penn State because they get beat up by Ohio State and Michigan, but they crush the combine every year. Theo Johnson had one of the best combine performances of all time, clearly, putting up that 9.99. Is there anything else we have on Theo Johnson? I don't really know much about him. I don't know if he's a solid performer at Penn State, but I'm sure he's rising up some people's tight end rankings eventually. He may be on my list tomorrow. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Penn State. I don't know. They seem to recruit athletes very well. With Micah, Chop, and then there's another edge rusher in this class of Penn State,
Lisa
the
Isaac,
tight
maybe.
end. I mean, they do this almost every year, but somehow they just keep losing. At some point, it gotta be a common denominator. I'm not gonna say no names, but you know, I've been hearing some comparisons after the combine that he's like Cole Kmet. And if you go from, not even being on anybody's radar to being compared to Cole Kmet, who's of course not an elite tight end, but Cole Kmet's gonna be in the league for a good long time. So I mean that's a damn good comparison in my opinion. So I'm interested to see where he gets drafted. A lot of teams can use a tight end like that. They can move like that. I'm sure he can block pretty well for his weight and size.
I hope so.
Bar is kind of light, compared to most tight ends, so he won't be able to block. Would you say, Mingles?
I said I hope so. It's 6'6", 260. Goodness gracious. Yeah, that's a
It's a grown.
goodness. Yeah, that's a big tight end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have much on the other tight ends. I think Dallin Holker, he had a nice little highlight where he was doing the gauntlet drill, caught one, didn't seem to know that there was another pass coming, and then caught the last ball with one hand. So a lot of people on Twitter either liked that or were saying that he was faking. But he ran a 4.78, weighed in at 6'3", 241 pounds. Nothing to note much from there, but the main thing from the tight end group was Brock Bowers didn't do much. And then Jatavian Sanders and Jaheim Bell may have, you know, lowered their stock a little bit. Well, but it's just the combine. Brian has been saying the pro days are another opportunity for them to show up. The quarterbacks, the one thing that we've seen from the combine ever since it occurred a couple days ago, everybody is saying that J.J. McCarthy crushed the combine. I don't know what portion of it. I'm pretty sure that it has to do with interviews. The on the field
I
work
think he's
wasn't.
to be around.
Hey,
He brings a winning attitude into the locker
that's
room.
what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But J.J. McCarthy is never beating the Brock Purdy allegations because the on the field work wasn't spectacular. But he apparently did what he had to do in Indy. He's solidified himself as QB4, I could say. And teams are apparently in love with him, and there's rumors that he could be top 10 in the draft now. So, what is everybody's? Me and SportsFan had McCarthy QB4. Brian recently moved McCarthy up to QB4 in his list. Brian, actually, let's go to Brian first. What pushed you? Because I could say Michael Penix, he looked good in the on the field drills, throwing the ball in tights. But what moved you to move McCarthy up?
So I remember when we were talking in the previous, we were talking in our quarterback and edge rusher episode. I think I said that I like Michael's arm talent better, but I think when you combine JJ's ability to throw, obviously, but also his movement within the pocket and outside, and his ability to improvise, I think he does that a little bit better than Michael Penix. And obviously, in the league now, you have to be a guy that can. You have to be a guy that can improvise and play above the snaps at times. I'm not saying that I don't think Michael can do that, but I think that Michael would be better. I think that JJ fits more systems because of what he's able to do, whereas Michael he'll probably need at least somewhere close to solid offensive line to be effective.
This reminds me. I don't know what was I watching. I think it was Rich Eisen and one of them college football. announcer / analyst came on. Hold on, I'm gonna find his name. I want to make sure I say his name because once you hear what I'm about to say, you're gonna want to know who he is and why he said it. You might want to watch it yourself. But his name is Bruce Fieldman.
Oh, Bruce Feldman,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, Bruce Feldman, College Football Insider. And I swear I'm quoting him here. All right, it's gonna sound crazy. I need to set this. Mingles, are you listening to me?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm locked in.
He said he'd been talking to QBs and stuff, and he said before the combine, JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix, all them, they kind of all trained with the same people. And then he was getting worried. Bruce said this, the guy, Bruce Feldman. He said this on Rich Eisen today. He said Michael Penix is gonna crush the combine, and he could even run a 4.5.
So my
And I
question,
said,
no, go ahead,
so
JJ. My
I'm
bad.
thinking, if he can run a 4.5, why the fuck didn't he run? Right? And then if he trained and he's running a 4.5, how the fuck did he get 4.5 speed in a few months? Because I saw the nigga run during the last 2
I
seasons.
don't think he had it
He
in a
didn't run
few
no
months.
4.5. Oh, where did this come from? I don't know. Man, y'all can watch it. Maybe I
You know
misheard
what
him.
it was? That's
Well,
Is the
we have a lesson for Bruce Feldman. That is what I call good old fashioned racism. All right, but it's racism blinding itself as positive.
is the Dwayne
You're
Haskins situation?
giving somebody a compliment based off an assumption about them. Because 4.5 is not based in fact. This is not. He did not. There's no discussion of Michael Penix running a 4.5. This is news to me. I'm so glad this didn't appear on my Twitter timeline because I might have threw my phone when I saw it. 4.5 for my. He was talking about Michael Penix running a 4.5, not JJ. He didn't misspeak.
but I swear to God, he said
Because
Michael Penix is underrated as an athlete. He said he
So
couldn't even run 4.4. I said,
so
what the fuck is
I
going
agree.
if he would have said
I don't
like
think he was even
4.7,
running a 4.5 at Indiana, but I
Oh
mean
man, now you mean
that's
you want to rewatch the video? Hold on, I'm gonna
I
let
don't
y'all
think
talk. I'm
I
gonna be
don't
back.
think you
Hold
watch it. That's supporting racism. I could almost understand maybe like a 4.7, 4.8 at this point in his life. He's a bit of an older gentleman.
it would be more
But
reasonable if they said
4.5,
4.6.
man, I don't know. 4.6. I mean,
You know they like if he got like a 4.65, how surprised would you
at
be?
the end of the day, if you're running a 4.5, yet you can't move in the pocket, what does a 4.5 do for me? You know, like you can have the speed all you want, but if you can't maneuver the pocket, it doesn't help me. But I don't wanna rain on the Michael Penix parade because I support black men and I support black quarterbacks and I support Michael Penix, even though he's my QB5. Uh, I don't hate him as a prospect. I just see the JJ vision more than I see the Michael vision. The success route for both of them. I think the JJ success route is more likely than a Michael Penix success route, and that's okay. There's nothing against Michael Penix for this, but the 4.5 is just insane to say. But I do think at the combine he threw that ball pretty well, so he was right about that first part. I think throwing that ball, Michael Penix, he showcased that throw power that he has more of than Bo
Did
Nix.
they ever give the stat for the fastest throw?
No, they did
Or
not. No, they did not. But sometimes you just got to use your eyes. That's what all
on. God.
I'm asking for is some people to use their eyes. Michael Penix has a stronger arm than Bo Nix. That is a fact.
I'm
I'm,
still
I'm gonna
surprised
play
we
this
had that
video.
argument in the
I
last
want y'all to
episode.
tell me, can y'all hear what he's saying? Okay, let me know if y'all can hear it.
Oh my goodness, you're playing it on our podcast.
Like a week and a half ago, they did a mock. And I think Keaton ran maybe 4.60, which obviously ran even faster when it mattered. But at one point we talked to him. Penix, he was like, he's going to really surprise people. He goes, he 4.5, maybe 4.4,
4.4.
and he
No, you didn't say
he
you
really
didn't say
can
the
run.
4
I
part.
think again, I don't want to
Stop that
say
video. Please
for
stop that. Please stop that video. You did not say the 4.4 part. They're
I
gonna
was being nice. I
they're gonna
forgot he even said 4.4. Is that not even crazier?
Yes. That's what went 4.4?
Go FedEx.
Like I said, I don't think he was even running a 4.5 in Indiana before the injury. So I
I
don't
don't think
know.
he. I don't think he's run a 4.445 his whole life. I need to know what type of training he was doing that told him that he can run a 4.4.
Maybe
I
it's like
need to
Darius
see this.
Robinson playing the edge position. You just got to believe in yourself.
Michael Penix don't even move coordinated enough to run a 4.5. Like his run style doesn't support 4.5.
I've never seen him move outside the pocket at that type of speed. I haven't seen him move at 4.6 speed, 4.7 speed. I
Nah,
Maybe if he runs pro day, I will be the first person to tweet it and watch it. I need to be there. I need to see it. I don't
We'll definitely be
I don't
tuned into
know
the Washington Pro Day for sure.
because if he's running a 4.45, if he went out and ran that at the combine, it might force his ass to be a top 10 pick. Because at that point, what can he do if he
if
moves like
Michael
that?
Penix been a 4.5, they would have been national champions because he would have been able to get out the pocket.
To be fair, his ankle did get crushed like second quarter.
Oh,
That's probably because he couldn't run, huh?
Yeah, probably. That's probably why he couldn't get out the pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the overall takeaway from the quarterback position in this particular combine was more so about the guys who didn't participate than the guys who did. Because, like, we even got to the point where Sam Hartman had to take a breather in between 40-yard dashes because people weren't running.
He was the only person in that first group. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean Spencer ran in the second group, but I was a bit disappointed in Spencer's performance. To be honest with you. 4.95 is not a good time for a 6-foot quarterback. But I think the thing is Spencer Rattler's 4.95 is faster than Michael Penix's 4.5. So I don't know.
Oh, I'll tell you, Spencer Rattler, his situation. Like Spencer Rattler, he's like I thought at minimum he'd be a Johnny Manziel type athlete. I don't even think he's that.
Yeah, 4.95 is really
bad. He's slower than Sam Hartman. That's actually insane.
Sam can move a little bit when he was at Wake Forest.
He ran a 4.8. Sam Hartman ran a 4.8, man.
That's a little bit right there. So all you need is a 4.8.
Rattler ran a.
Just get past Devondre Sweat.
That's the only person he can outrun. I think that's really the only person.
That's all you gotta do. That's it. I don't want to talk about quarterbacks no more. That just made me angry. Receivers.
I feel like you gotta start the receiver one, CT, because there's a specific player on there.
There's two specific players that I need to talk about. My two guys, Xavier Legette. First, Xavier Legette showed up 6'1". It's the truth. 6'1". 221 though. It's a big boy. 221. 6'1", 221. And he ran a 4.39. 221, 4.39. I don't think people are talking about this enough.
Oh my goodness.
The weight speed combination, it shows up on tape, and now it shows up on the combine. I really appreciate Xavier Legette for being the one guy who put on in the one event that most people care about, you know? And that's the issue. There's one event that most people care about. And then they hold on to that number. And that was the issue for Keon Coleman this weekend. Keon Coleman, measuring 6 foot. What did I say?
6 foot and 3/4. 6 foot and 3/4.
6 foot and 3/4. Uh-oh. 6 foot and 202 and running at 4.640. Now, before everybody says he's, not a supreme athlete like I said he was, it's not true. All right. I have reports from his camp that he did not spend as much time training for the 40-yard dash because he was spending more time focused on improving the route running. And that training showed up at the combine because he finished around the top 5 in almost every route run miles per hour. Around the top 5. He was even second in a couple of them. So the 40-yard dash speed did not show up, but in the actual route running, which is what matters as a receiver, that's SportsFan's favorite thing is the route running for receivers.
Ability to get open.
Mm-hmm.
He was the quickest and the fastest in almost in most of them.
He was cooking the shit out of that air DBs, man. Casper out there, they couldn't guard that boy. He was getting open.
And then the gauntlet. Who?
He wasn't even fast.
SportsFan, tell us. Who ran the fastest time in the gauntlet last year?
Puka Nacua.
Who ran the fastest time in the gauntlet this year?
Lad McConkey?
Incorrect. Keon Coleman. Coleman.
You sure? Have you double checked that?
I feel like they put that out as a tweet.
He definitely sent that in the group chat this morning. So unless they lied,
Fake news.
Keon Coleman. So the 40 time wasn't all that it was hyped up to be. I told you guys. Well, the episode never came out, so I didn't tell you guys anything. But the 40 time isn't what we assumed it would be. But the route running speed shows up, and I'm actually very glad to see that because that was a bit of a question of many. How quick he was in and out of his breaks. On tape, he looks like a bit of a lackadaisical route runner sometimes, similar to A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell ran a great 40 though, but Keon Coleman showed up at the combine, ran the routes the right way. He did them the way that a real route runner runs his routes, and did them with precision, speed, and proper technique. And I think he might have made himself some money even without the 40 time. You know what may have happened if he would have
Made
ran
himself some money this weekend.
if he would have
You
ran
believe
a
that?
4, yeah. If he would have ran a 4.4, I feel like he would have landed in a bad situation for him.
Where?
He
You
could have
think he's
gone
going
to
mid first?
If he would have ran a 4.4, he was going mid first. I guarantee you that. I put money on it. Keon, if he would have ran a 4.4, he would have gone mid first. But he didn't.
And what bad situation in mid first could he went to?
Any of them. Any of them, man. Any
Can
of
you
them.
name a team? Just one team?
Jacksonville. That's not a great one for him.
That's a bad situation for Keon Coleman.
For him. They need an Xavier Legette or Brian Thomas Jr. That's what they need.
Can't give it away. You can't give it away.
What's a good situation for Keon Coleman? Just a few teams.
I like him with the Bills.
Isn't that just another Gabe Davis?
Nah. Gabe Davis don't. I think we should look at Gabe Davis miles per hour per route run. I think we should do that and compare it to Keon
Gabe
Coleman.
Davis wasn't fast. Are you trying to say Gabe Davis wasn't fast?
That's not what I said. That's literally not what I said. I said for every route. How fast was Gabe Davis on every single route? And what is Gabe Davis's ability to run every route? Minimal.
Dude, are you serious?
Minimal.
Are you serious?
Minimal.
Are you serious?
Gabe Davis not the route technician that Keon Coleman displayed this past week.
Nigga, it was the combine with nobody guarding him. There was nobody
Why
there.
didn't everybody else do it? Why didn't everybody else? Please, if you can answer that, I'll stop. Why didn't everybody else do it?
Everybody else do what?
Run the route.
Run the same speed? It's not possible. That's not physically possible. Everybody can't run the same speed.
He was consistently at the top of every single route. Every single one. Keon Coleman was one of the top names.
This is literally the first time you ever seen him run a route fast consistently in his whole career. This is the first time you've seen him do it.
I told you, once he gets a wide receiver coach, he clearly has one now. There's a wide receiver coach.
Oh.
Them Florida State coaches don't know. You see what they had a wide receiver coach too now. 4 or 5.
Who got a wide receiver?
Johnny Wilson.
I do want to say that
So Johnny Wilson ran faster than Keon Coleman. How does that make it?
He did, but Johnny Wilson is more of a straight line runner than Keon Coleman. More of a straight line runner, clearly.
change of direction ain't the same.
Yeah, it's not the same change of direction.
I will say, even though obviously we didn't get to do the receiver video has never been put out, obviously because I messed the auto up. So I'm sorry to the audience that we never got to get that video out. Christian did say that Keon is like a different player. Like at one point it's like this, but then when he gets the football in his hands, it's a completely different player. And I feel like his 40 versus the times running routes, as Christian is talking about, and the gauntlet itself, kind of proves that point.
Thank you. There's only some.
No more. I'm not gonna waste my time.
I do think there were at least two other receivers on here that I feel like not only solidified their place on my list. One of them will probably be moving up, but two guys on the list were A.D. Mitchell and Brian Thomas Jr. I definitely did not expect Brian Thomas Jr. to run the 40 that he did. So I think that's part of the reason why people aren't talking about Xavier Leggett's 40, as much as you would think. CT. Yeah, so those two guys did a good job, especially in their with their 40 times, and I think they both solidified their. AD has definitely solidified himself as my wide receiver 4. I think Brian Thomas Jr. has done enough to make himself my wide receiver 5, given the numbers. But again, this is
I'm about to say,
another
can we start
obviously.
talking about some real receivers? Like, we spent about 10 minutes talking about Keon Coleman. We got some real receivers like AD, motherfucking Lab McConkey ran a 4.39. They didn't
Yeah,
even know that white
Sure
boy can run a
did.
4.3.
He sure did. They
Come
all
on now.
in.
Even Tez Walker ran a 4.36. I ain't know Tez Walker had that in him. Roman
no,
Wilson ran a
I feel
4.39.
like we know
All
he's a
these people,
speed guy. It's just he can't catch the
Xavier Worthy
ball. That's
broke the
the issue.
record. Shout out to Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy broke the record. Though on the second attempt. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
To run one to say, yeah, I could do this. People were saying he wasn't gonna do it. They was like, no, I'm running against so I can break the
he
record.
just
To
had to
actually
warm
do
up,
it.
man.
All these receivers running fast, and then you got Keon Coleman. 4.61.
Man,
And then Rome was out there
That shit's
doing the 3 cone
this
drill,
Keon,
trying to get a 6'6".
this is all on camera.
I don't feel no shame when I'm saying.
When
If
he
if
had,
he succeeds, I'm just gonna say he got a wide receiver coach, like you said. I mean, I can't lose. I really can't
you're gonna
lose.
say I'm right.
Oh,
So you're gonna say I'm right. All right, thank you.
sure, if that makes you feel better. But Roma Duze, great combine for him. About 6'3", just under 6'3", ran a 4.4. Yeah, he's nice.
And we
He's
know he's got
nice.
the work ethic because he was out there trying to get that 6'6" for the
He's out
cone
there,
3 cone drill.
What a
and he
move!
couldn't even do it. He
What
didn't
a
even do it.
move by his agent. Is he
What
still
a
out?
max, huh?
Is he still out there on the field? Right,
He might be. I
still
haven't
taking
seen him
that
leave.
6.6 shuttle. Yeah,
He's at a field right now with a tripod, and he's still running it. See if he can get that 6'6", man.
yeah. No, Roma Dunze is pretty hilarious for that. For those of you who don't know, Roma Dunze was the last player on the field on the day the receivers were working out because he was making sure that he would get to a 6.6. What was the drill?
The 3 cone drill.
3 cone. 6.6 time on 3 cone. I believe his actual time was 6.89 or something like that.
Yeah,
To kind of shave 2/10 of a second off his time. Mind you, the scores were already final, so no matter if he got to 6.5, they weren't changing the number in the combine database. So yeah, he was just out there working for himself, and I think that it was a smart move, a savvy move by his agent to display the work ethic that his client has.
he was
I
playing
believe he
Madden
told.
Superstar mode the night before.
Yeah, I think he told Rome to go out there and stay a little extra, get some extra work in after everybody else is gone. Power move, smart move, because people talked about it. And that's all that matters. Receivers though, any other receivers?
Uh,
Tez Walker ran a 4.36. Shout out to him. Ricky Perso looked good in the receiver drills. All these receivers had a pretty good combine. I think Troy Franklin did not
Oh yeah.
impress.
yeah,
Weighed
but I
in
say
at
that's the only
170.
one that probably didn't
You
do as
know,
well. But I feel like he
170.
solidified your player comp from the receiver
it's
episode.
like
So
I do think that Jalen Hyatt.
who's player caught? Um, I don't know. I feel like people expect him to run a 4.3, and I didn't really see that on the film. Um, he's fast. Of course, 4.4 is still fast, but he didn't look like he had that type of acceleration. Um, I don't know. I'm glad that him going to the Chiefs is out of everybody's mind, but now it just got replaced by Xavier Worthy, so we'll see how that goes.
yeah,
I think the Chiefs should distance themselves from that 4-2 type time. And they've tried it a couple times. It worked once. It kind of worked the second time with Kadarius, but it stopped working. Says, yeah.
It did not work with Kadarius.
I mean, it got him 2 Super Bowls.
Kadarius Tony got him the second Super Bowl.
He's was on the roster. It was working that first year. There were signs that it was working. The Super Bowl, he played a very good game. Had a dynamic punt return, but the wheels fell off this past year. So
Bro.
I think they've still been. I think they're taking Worthy if they're publicly yearning for the Tyreek Hill replacement. I don't think they need to do that. I think this is a different type of offense that can stretch the field in a different way. I don't know if AD Mitchell is there at 32. I don't know if McConkey is there at 32. I don't know if Tez Walker is definitely going to be there. But if Tez Walker is there, I think you have those type of players there also in the second round. I think Ricky Pearsall has a chance to be there in the second round. That's the type of player I would like to see them go for instead of reaching at 32 for Xavier Worthy. And I think Xavier Worthy is there at 32, but I don't think he's there at their next pick. That's the thing.
Is
So I think they want Xavier Worthy, they're going to have to take him immediately.
is
And I
Keon?
don't think
My bad. I was gonna say, is
they
Keon too close to Rasheed for you to consider him there?
I think the Chiefs are looking for a bit more. You know who? So no, not Keon, but I think Leggett. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Leggett in Kansas.
And they probably find a way to move him around. So
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think the Chiefs they need to take a receiver. They just have to make sure.
Why'd you call for that?
I mean,
Why'd you even
I
give him
feel like
opportunity?
it makes sense because of the offense Andy Reid likes to run,
Brian, don't pay him no mind.
especially in the more intermediate route area. I
Yes.
feel like that's somewhere where Leggett can really thrive. Now, for
Mm.
me, I would like to see them probably try to trade up and go get an AD or try to go get an AD. But if they're just going to sit there at 32 and they feel like they need to take a receiver, I don't think Xavier. I don't think you're upset taking Xavier Leggett, in my
I
opinion.
don't think the Chiefs are in a position in the position as they are with their current free agent situation to give up picks. I think they really value their picks because they need to. They understand they're kind of taking the Patriots template where they can't re-sign everybody. There's a lot of people they're going to have to end up walking. They're trying to work out a deal with Chris Jones. They tagged Snead, but they're letting him seek a trade. They're going to end up losing Willie Gay in free agency, but they prepare with linebackers that
No,
they.
linebackers don't matter, especially
That's
with
what I'm
things like
saying.
Willie.
But they draft linebackers because they just shuffle them through every couple of years, except for Nick Bolton. I think Nick Bolton's going to stay there for a decent minute. But the others, like Willie Gay, Drew Tranquil, they're going to just shuffle through. They're going to find new ones in the draft because, like SportsFan says, linebackers don't matter. But with the further draft pick, I mean, Chris Jones is getting a bit older. I'm not going to say he's getting old, but you probably want to be able to draft a potential replacement if you don't end up paying him. You're going to need to draft a corner eventually as well if you're not paying Snead because they have decent ones. Jalen Watson is decent. McDuffie is a great slot guy. I don't know if they're going to move him to the outside or not. I believe last year he played a bit on the outside, but I think they probably want to keep him in the slot. And then the safeties are decent. You probably want to bring in a better corner if you're just letting Snead walk. So these are the type of things they're going to need if they're going to continue to just let players walk. They're going to need to value their draft picks and make sure that they actually hit because they've had some pretty good draft classes past couple of years, save for Scott Moore being involved in that. But I think they'll value their picks more so than trading up for a receiver in a deep receiver class.
Makes sense.
What position is left?
Yeah, running
Yeah.
backs. I mean, I could run
Running
through
backs and
that one
tackle.
real quick. Running backs, I'd say Braylon Allen. I wish he had done a little bit more. Maybe he'll do more at the pro day, but I think he's gonna be.
No. He did exactly what he needed to do. If he did any more, he might have done damage to his stock. At 235, 6 foot, he did 26 reps on that bench. He done all he needed to do. He's shown what he is. If he ran that 40, I'm scared to see what he would have ran. I don't think it would have been nice.
So that makes
I
that
don't
makes
think he
sense.
should do it
But
anymore.
I don't think I'm dropping him for my RB1 just because of obviously the age factor and other things, and play
I say
fitting.
that's
I think
young James Conner right.
I think Trey
Like,
Benson.
it's not a joke.
I think Trey Benson solidified himself as RB2 for me. He was already about RB2, but I think having a legit 40 time now and everything, that I think that yeah, that just solidified him as number 2 for me. And then Isaac, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but the running back from Louisville, he was probably the surprise of the day. I think he definitely improved his stock. I don't know if he goes earlier than probably late second. because of the other running backs ahead of him. But I think he did a good job, and he made himself some money. Made himself some
Some
money
money.
because of the performance he had.
Made himself a whole lot of money because that. I think I'm trying to think of his all time number. Was he 2 or
Yeah, I think they said he was
3
like
in
number two.
the?
Let me check. I think they said he was number two.
Yeah, that's just insane. Let me see if I see it on Twitter because I saw that 40 time. I had to rub my eyes, man. 6'1" running a 4.33 and jumping a 41-inch vertical. That's in fucking insane.
That's Xavier
You
Leggett. Same
keep
build.
seeing this thing in there, bro. That's why Xavier Leggett's not a wide receiver. He's a running back. Now, if you got a Debo type game plan for him, then sure, by all means, draft Xavier Leggett. But how many Debo type roles are there on team? I think there's only one Debo, and he's not the best receiver on the team.
This a new.
Debo's the first slot guy to get carries at the backfield. Also.
No. One of these big, bulky slot guys. He's not like 6'2". He's like 5'11", 225. Debo probably
The reason why it's brand new.
He'd probably be walking around right now at 240.
Who?
Debo, before the season start.
240? Nigga, are you serious?
Bro. Right
he must
now,
be snacking or something. I don't know.
Before he even starts working out.
Isn't that what DK Metcalf weighs?
Yeah.
DK Metcalf weighs like 240.
Exactly.
You think Debo would be the same amount?
Halfway during the offseason. You gotta understand
you think
during the offseason.
Fuck, you think eating McDonald's every day? Like you just get him on his diet?
I just think he's a natural big boned it.
Well, he's also got the hamstring, so it's not like he can really run around right now. So
see,
don't give him excuses, Brian. Don't make this shit work. I'm about 244 NFL wide receiver that's barely 6 foot.
I mean, I don't think he's gonna be that. I'm just saying.
Playing at 240. I'm saying right now he is walking around at 240, so he has to get in shape and drop down to 220.
Nigga, the Super Bowl was last month.
Exactly. That's why. He's not really gonna get in the game shape until like April or May.
Next month? What? He's gaining 20 pounds and then losing it.
But the OTAs are literally like next month, ain't it?
If he's not 240 now, he'll be there in like a couple weeks.
Oh my god. Oh, this nigga's crazy.
DK might be 250 right now.
What? What? Like what? Come on, man. Have you seen DK diet? I don't even know how he keeps weight on.
I was about to say if that's his diet. I was about to say if he keeps the same diet, I doubt he's gonna gain that much more.
Wasn't that like 1 meal a day, a cup of coffee, and some bag of candy? I don't know how he keeps his weight.
But if he's not playing football, that means he's eating a lot of candy.
He did say he got a sweet tooth. I don't know how his teeth not jacked up. That's a lot of fucking sugar, dog. I don't know how he's doing. That nigga's insane. But was anybody else in running back? Oh, Trey Benson did really good, 4.39. But I think Trey Benson, everybody running back 1 right now, just about. So, other than Braylon Allen's my number 1.
That's it. I'm about to say that's the only other person I have ahead of Trey. It's them two and then everybody else.
That's my number 1, Braylon Allen. He is the Traits Triumph number 1 overall running back in the draft, just because the youth and the traits combination never fails.
Yeah. We'll probably get 2 contracts out of him.
I'll be honest. We talk too much about offensive line. I might doze off. So let's keep it brief.
Quickly go through. Joe, he is tall. Mims, he did really well for his size. I
think that's about it. I mean, like Joe Alt was like the guy, that did all the athletic stuff and like showed that he's not just a stiff guy.
I'm looking at these numbers. All these linemen almost ran identical.
Joe Alt being 6'9" is kind of crazy. Y'all not worried about that?
I'm not, but the numbers he put up.
That type of height, is that possible to really succeed at left tackle?
I feel like there's a cap on how good of a tackle you can be at 6'9". Maybe I'm just tweaking.
But Mims Mims is only 1 inch shorter. Should we be concerned about him too? Maybe we should be. He about 20 pounds
Why do
heavier
you think
than.
there's a cap, CT?
I feel like if an edge rusher has a certain amount of bend, if he's able to get low and alt just, at 6'9", not able to get down there with him, it may be an issue.
Okay.
But, I mean, as long as he can get hands on people. But that's the other thing. He's not as aggressive with his hands. I mean, he's 6'8", so it's probably more difficult for him to get his hands on people who are smaller than him. But he's not as aggressive with his hands as other tackles in this class are. So that's another thing with him. A lot of people compare him to Mike McGlinchey. I think that's only because of the height in the school, though. I think he's much more technically refined than McGlinchey, but at the same time, 6'8", 6'9".
Well,
I don't know.
hopefully.
Haven't really seen.
Go ahead.
Haven't really seen 6'8", 6'9" all-pro tackles, have we?
I don't think so.
I mean, we've seen solid ones. There's a couple that's been solid. I think Mike
How tall was dude that used to play for the 49ers?
Joe Staley.
Yeah, how tall was he? Was he not
I think
that?
Staley was like 6'6".
Not that far.
Villanueva was for the Steelers, but he wasn't all pro level.
Joe Staley was 6'5".
The film is so good on Joe. I don't know how hard. I don't know. Maybe he's just an outlier.
Yeah,
I
think the biggest thing is just hopefully he has a good O-line coach that could teach him to use his hands a little bit more, kind of like CT was saying. Because I think the biggest thing in the league is that he may have an issue with, kind of like he said, maybe like speed rushers. But if he's able to kind of like have a balanced set and be able to get his hands out, I think he should be fine.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Well, there's nobody else who we all want to talk about. I say we end it off here.
I think that's it for me.
Say I'm gonna go quick scroll through of anybody else I might have missed, but I doubt it. No.
And once again, we just touched on a few of our prospects that are on here, but this is a very detailed list that Brian put together here. Very impressive work by him. SportsFan provided a lot of the names. I just provided myself, and
bastard.
But yeah. Thank you all for watching.
Quick note. I'm sorry. Quick note. JJ McCarthy can't throw left. That's what it was.
So
I forgot to say
that is partially why I'm like bracing myself for him at 6. But we'll talk about that another day.
You got plenty of time to worry about that, bro. As more reports and rumors come out, I'm gonna tell you when you start being concerned. I mean, sure, if you look on like any betting website, the odds for number 6, I think Jay McCarthy's like number 1 right now. But that's nothing. It's March 5th. The draft's not to April, like what?
Wait, who picked 6?
I think the Jets? No, wrong.
There's somebody in that
Giants.
Buffalo Giants.
Giants, dog. Yeah.
Okay.
Could you imagine you have Daniel Jones on like a 4-year contract and you just bring in Daniel Jones again?
That's almost 10 years of Daniel Jones right there.
I cut my TV off the last time this happened, so I don't know.
Hey, you know what's crazy? What pick was Daniel Jones in the draft? Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. This has been another edition of Traits Triumph with the What's the Play Productions. I'm Christian with Brian and SportsFan. Be sure to stay tuned for the next play.